What's up guys, welcome back to my channel Anime Fiction. I'm back with the last episode of What If Naruto Was the Emperor of DC Universe, the end. And if you did enjoy the video, give this video a like, and if you're new to my channel and like my content, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more crossover fictions with a twist. Now let's begin this new video.
48th chapter. Elia decided to act after seeing Naruto's reaction. She was aware that her adversary would eventually track her down. Unlike Naruto, she lacked patience and couldn't tolerate seeing him alive. However, she lacked the strength to oppose him. The only option was to hire someone else to do it. Elia chose Merlin after perusing the planet's roster of powerful beings. The man had been living for a long time and commanded terrible demons. He was a powerful magician with access to the underworld, so he should have no trouble defeating Naruto. She dispatched a puppet to her target, who lived in London, without hesitation. Merlin was a pleasant and strong-looking old man who was difficult to overlook. He was sitting in the park with a lovely lady with long blonde hair, watching the swans and ducks circle the pond. The pair appeared to be buried in thought, but they were aware of her presence once she cancelled her ability. Elia felt overwhelmed by the old man's domineering glare. Being under his gaze made her body feel as though it were ready to crumble. "Please listen to me before acting. I am confident you will not be sorry." "Young lady, I am hurt. I am not some barbarian who kills without rhyme or reason, so please take a seat and let us talk peacefully," Merlin said as he examined the small girl. She gave him the sensation of déjà vu. He returned his gaze to Elia after looking at his partner, Artoria Pendragon. Merlin could tell Artoria was feeling the same way. Merlin snapped his fingers to create a barrier around them so they wouldn't be disturbed. "Thank you for your time. I will be eternally grateful. There is no need for such formalities. It is our duty to keep this world safe. Please speak before we pass judgment," Artoria said calmly. Her eyes were chilly, and her physique masked immense power. She, like Merlin, had been alive for thousands of years and wasn't quite human. If Elia had been a weaker entity, she would have felt obliged to speak and obey the demand after hearing her voice. Regardless, Elia spoke to the two and shared her recollections with them. Her memories depicted Naruto's world and how the Fourth Ninja War brought about peace. Everything looked to be going swimmingly until something strange happened. Naruto began to reveal his true colors, his selfishness. Naruto quietly took over the globe while hiding his vicious character, and no one dared to oppose him because he was the world's hero. Furthermore, he was the planet's strongest being, and the second strongest, as well as the other strongest beings, were his buddies. Naruto's takeover of the globe should have raised red flags, but people were misled by heroic tales and their own hopes. Regardless, Naruto performed an outstanding job in bringing the world to a better future. But there were things going on in the shadows. Naruto began killing all beings who were too powerful and intelligent for their own good. Beginning with his own brother, Sasuke, and progressing to Shikamaru. He didn't even forget about Hinata Hyuga, his one and only love. Naruto did not only murder his loved ones, he also betrayed his wife and impregnated numerous women. Most women happily took it, but some fought, and he had to force them. Naruto forced Elia's mother to do it, and she was the same age as Boruto, implying he did it during his honeymoon period. Naruto admired powerful ladies because he wished to raise strong offspring. He created the globe a better place to raise strong individuals, all for his own selfish desires. Kaguya Otsutsuki, Naruto's strongest foe, was Elia's mother. Naruto opened Kaguya's seal, allowing her to regain full strength. After defeating her in battle, he imprisoned her in a palace where she could never escape without his permission. Naruto used Fuinjutsu seals on Kaguya to prevent her from reversing the pregnancy, and this is where Elia was born. She was the result of a heinous conduct and was rejected by her mother. Kaguya, on the other hand, did not despise her and lavished her with love. "It appears that you have been duped, young lady. It is clear that the Naruto you despise is not the one in this world. Furthermore, it appears that your father is possessed by someone else. Did you ever see your father summon Kurama?" Merlin took in the story and the memories before going silent for a moment to process them. "Deceived? How can that be? My mother was killed by him, and she would have told me if he was possessed." Hearing such comments made her agitated and exceedingly angry. How could they call the facts into question? How could they think she was stupid? "Calm down, young one. It is obvious that you have been duped by the enemy. Your mother did warn you about the enemy. Please remember the lullaby. What does it say? The darkness will emerge from the depths, youngster. And transport you to slumber. The darkness will emerge from the depths, child. And transport you to slumber. All influence your belief, foolish daughter. And you'll always suspect your father is a crook. And you'll have no idea what's causing your anguish. But you'll always listen to the voices below. Your spirit will despise your heedless daughter. The flower who married my traitorous brother, and you will uncover his puppeteering. Because you are proof of how he betrayed her trust. Now, do you see why she sung this? Does it appear like something a regular person would sing to their darling child? Merlin used a spell to help Elia relax because he knew she was becoming agitated. The truth was plain, but it was damaging to her mind. Elia realized what Merlin was implying as she listened to the familiar lullaby. It was so evident that even a small toddler couldn't have missed it. Kaguya was Naruto's ancestor, not his sister. And why would she not recognize the source of her grief? Wasn't it because of her mother's death that she felt it? What was the deep-sea darkness? It appears that this brother was the darkness, and he took control of Naruto. The source of the unknown grief should be his manipulation, and your soul knowing it. The enemy sent you here, and you didn't escape him. He is using you for something, and it is most likely to kill the Naruto of this world. I'd want to say so, but it's not quite true. The brother shouldn't be able to nullify Naruto's powers without any opposition. So, you were brought here by someone else and used as a pawn. Regardless, Naruto isn't your adversary, and you should see him. He will forgive you since he understands your situation, and I will offer my assistance. Merlin saw Mordred in Elia, and that lullaby was what Mordred's mother would sing to him. It was a curse that would blind Mordred to his mother's evil, cause him to regard Artoria as evil, and cause him to try to kill her for the crown. Artoria was a woman until Merlin transformed her into a male so she could have a kid. Morgan, Artoria's sister, utilized magic to transform herself into the wife. It was one of her tactics of causing mayhem, and she didn't care about the child's mental health. Morgan had fought Merlin and Artoria for decades before succumbing to the Lance of the End. The holy lance of King Arthur was Rongomeniad, the lance that shines to the ends of the world. It was a divine construct weapon known as the Spear of the End, the light of destruction falling from the heavens. The holy lance was once a pillar of light that held the two sides of the world together, the bottom layer of the world, mortal reality, and the upper layer of the world, realm of the immortals. It was stated that if this was undone, reality would be peeled away from the surface of the world, revealing the upper layer and reenacting the age of immortals. The holy lance proved Artoria was the chosen one of Earth, and it enabled her to overcome her restrictions, giving her the ability to combat unimaginable adversaries. She was also half-dragon, which contributed to her great power. Artoria had lived for so long that she had completely recognized her skills. Hearing Merlin's words, Elia realized she had been duped and couldn't handle it any longer. Her heartbeat became erratic, and she experienced excruciating pain in her brain and heart. Elia backed away from the duo, feeling a splitting headache when she experienced a dreadful recollection and nearly losing her sanity. The universe came to a halt and reversed just as she was about to collapse from the mental harm. Vyn decided to switch things up and steer the debate in a new direction. The couple believed Elia and saw Naruto as an enemy, and Elia never discovered the truth. What a pitiful little creature, I'm forced to help. It would have been so much easier if I could erase them all, Vyn grumbled, unhappy that he almost botched up because his attention had been drawn to Naruto. He couldn't destroy the world without help. It would summon the Balance Inspector, which would be a bad decision. He did, however, raise Elia to a suitable level. Elia was as strong as Naruto but lacked his talents, and with Vin's help, she grew to be as powerful as him. There was a limit to his ability to change power levels. Many laws were put in place to keep higher-level entities from messing around in the lower realms. The lower realms were straightforward locations regulated by physical principles, whereas the above realms were weird and beautiful. Returning to Naruto, he had reached a decision. He was about to go on a murdering spree, leaving no superhumans alive. Naruto assembled his crew in the throne room, his earnestness obvious, unlike previously. He wasn't in the mood to mess around, and his choice was exceedingly dangerous. Its failure would condemn him to sin and preclude him from becoming emperor. He was wagering his entire life on the outcome. Naruto would never do something like this, but the situation forced him to. There was no conventional way to beat the adversary. He needed to dupe them into submission. He had prepared 2 routes to success for this purpose. I hope that none of you have given up hope and embraced cowardice, Naruto said from his throne. He had gathered them all so that there would be no confusion. We have embraced our faith in you, as well as the rage that pours from our hearts. Please, deliver us our vengeance, Mr. Freeze said, his voice quivering with rage. He had been living the dream, and it had all been torn away from him in an instant. The continuous rage he felt had entirely buried his inner anguish. My lord, rip the bastards to shreds. Please, don't give them a second chance. They even killed your servants, and they deserve nothing less than death. Earth King was filled with shame and desperation. He believed that if he had not brought the girl into his life, she would have been considerably happier. Feeling these emotions made him think that it would be better to just die. Calm your souls. Everything will return to normal once the battle is over. Remember that I command reality because it is what I desire, and what I desire is perfection. Now, we will launch our counterattack. Because Earth will become our war, I will transport everyone to another realm, and the majority of you will accompany them for protection. This will be our true first battle. We have gone through everything too smoothly, and the world has thrown us a task. As Emperor, I must establish my value, and these trials will come our way as we travel the route we have chosen. This path is filled with thorns and death, but victory and rewards await at the end of the challenges. You have all proven your worth and followed my commands, so I will give you a choice. Who will follow me into battle? Naruto stood up and walked down the stairs as he spoke, stopping in front of the group. If you give us the option, no one will back down. There are no cowards here, Red Hood said on behalf of the gang. I am grateful for your loyalty, and you will never be sorry. Now, I will make my decision, Naruto said, and that was the last thing most of the members saw from their lord. Naruto transported nearly the entire globe to another dimension in a single instant. He only left a few combatants on his side. Donna, Power Girl, Supergirl, Green Queen, Livewire, Phoenix, Killer Frost, Earth King, Aquaman, King Croc, Witchblade, and Silver Banshee, while letting the others to look after the people. He specifically chose Moon Maiden, Dr. Mist, and Conan to lead the people while he was away. What are we going to do? Power Girl wondered, as she and Aquaman were the only ones who hadn't entirely accepted Naruto's golden thighs. We'll fight until we win. Otherwise, you'll just have to believe me because we can't go into details, Naruto said as he glanced at them. It was the path he would always take, one in which he couldn't always share his expertise and manipulate people to his advantage. It was necessary, and he prayed that his people would always recognize the importance of concealment. Power Girl had been briefed on what had occurred, so she was aware of the issue. I understand, and I will put my faith in you. Are we going to fight against everyone literally, or do you mean we'll talk and see who we'll fight like usual? Kara decided to ask for confirmation, and Aquaman was thinking the same thing, but Kara spoke before him. The time for talks is over. We will defeat everyone who stands in our way, Naruto said as he approached Kara and looked her in the eyes. He felt different as he looked at her. He felt compelled to express himself. It seemed like it was the final time they'd see each other. It was his instincts speaking to him. All of them could die in the battle. It was a risk he had willingly chosen. The sensation was lovely, and it was growing. However, Naruto did not say anything. If he confirmed such feelings, it would be futile for her. He would accept it as one of his objectives and survive the conflict. What is it? Kara's heart rate increased as she looked into his eyes. He seemed to be going to express his emotions for her or something. What should I do? Do I like him that way? Kara felt pressed from the look and could only ask softly. Nothing. I was thinking that I should cover your weaknesses or they would easily take you down, Naruto said with a chuckle, giving everyone a boost. He couldn't keep it in any longer. It was time for him to lay his cards on the table. Naruto closed his eyes and felt the rise in power as he sensed the changes within him. Naruto had already had the operation before beginning the conference, and his body was altering genetically. He was no longer a human, but an ultimate being whom he wished for all his people. Rinne Sharingan's eyes changed and he reached the final stage of evolution. However, that was not the same thing. It was something altogether new, with a different design and set of abilities. Naruto simply called it the Emperor's Eyes. The eyes were like a graph of existence, providing him with various authority. Death's influence, life's vitality times influence. Space's power, destruction power, soul's power, knowledge ability. Clairvoyant power, compulsion power, plus the ultimate and most important power, control over reality. Because of what he took into his structure, all of these abilities became part of his genetics. He had Superman's blood, Darkseid's blood, Gaia's blood, Starfire's blood, Raven's blood, Titan blood from Dana, and ultimately Otsutsuki blood from within. Because he had gathered vast power from the world and contained it within his body, the metamorphosis was completed rapidly. Naruto and Kurama could only reach planet level without the augmentation technique. Naruto became more aware of the restrictions of his energy level as he progressed through the enhancement technique. So he absorbed massive amounts of energy during the waking in order to truly remodel his entire essence, which brought him to a new plane of existence. Without the boost, he was now planet level, and Kurama had used so much heavenly energy that he was now larger than the planet itself. With the rate at which Kurama was growing, it wouldn't be long before he was as big as the sun itself, which delighted the big nasty fox. Naruto's power increased as he grew in size and chakra reserves, until he eventually surpassed star level and reached solar system level. Even his body and blood had outgrown his environment and become tremendously powerful. His blood had turned from red to golden with a silver tinge. The enormous rise in power was driven by this shift from the core. Does it mean anything that your eyes changed? Kara was intrigued by the changing eyes as he opened them. She had never idea there were beings who could evolve their eyes and improve their powers, so it was a surprise. Yes, it means I've reached a new level. Now it's time for us to act, Naruto said, wanting to put it off and just go about his business. He could then spend time with his friends and family, exploring these new emotions. He, on the other hand, was not one to shy away from danger. There was no other option, and he couldn't allow the naysayers stop him. Naruto's eyes shone with a royal purple light as his demeanor changed, and all of his teammates surrendered to his command. I am sorry for this, my loyal followers. This emperor has been forced to such lengths, and you are no longer capable of carrying out my desires, Naruto expressed sadness. Partner, they will understand. And, if they don't, you will always have me. Don't let this pain bring you down. You are the emperor of mankind. No, you are the emperor of the world, Kurama said as a golden fox appeared on his shoulder and comforted him. No matter how powerful they became, they would always need someone to keep them stable. The lonely route will always erode mental fortitude and empty out the soul. It was for this reason that Naruto was glad for Kurama's presence and desired his collaboration. Thank you for your support. Now let us burn this world to the ground, Naruto said as he emerged over New York, smiling like he was on a date. Naruto put on his armor and extended his aura around the planet as he gazed at the sky. Filthy creature hiding in the shadows, you have forced this emperor to act, but you shall never achieve victory. You can never defeat this emperor. I shall kill every pawn you hold. I shall burn this world down if it goes against me. Come out and show yourself, you filthy coward, or I shall kill every being, Naruto said commandingly. The overwhelming aura stretched across the planet, causing the world to quake and dissolve. There was no reaction. Ha 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 ha, such a coward. I've seen mice with more courage. Alas, this cursed world shall know my wrath, Naruto said, and all feeble animals vanished with a wave of his hand. Naruto wiped all humanity, as well as the animals, insects, and monsters, with a single wave. Cities all around the world vanished, as if there had never been life. Earth has become a barren planet. Naruto, what have you done? Superman couldn't believe it as he gazed at Naruto with wrath in his eyes. He was barely keeping it together. Along with his family, the world had vanished. He recently lost his parents, wife, and son. It was like something out of a nightmare. It was incredibly difficult for him not to rip the man he had thought of as a friend. He'd refuted the accusations and taken his side, and the nightmare was his punishment. Weak little creature, who gave you permission to talk in my presence? Be gone. Naruto turned to Superman and struck him without responding to his question. Naruto ignited the power of devastation with a single glance, capable of eradicating anything within his eyes. Everything around him vanished, leaving just a vacuum, as Superman lived and yelled from his insane wrath. With the confirmation, Superman sent a wave of sunlight from his body, covering a limited radius and devouring Naruto from within. Superman appeared to have absorbed a considerable amount of solar energy in preparation for his confrontation with Naruto. Clark's body was oozing golden energy as he unleashed the attack that would have destroyed a star. It was impossible for Superman to absorb that much energy in such a short period of time. Naruto had only met him the night before. It indicated that the JL had finally collaborated and made Superman the focal point of their power-ups. Aside from Superman's original power, there was magic and technology. He appeared to have consumed a few stars before approaching him. Without a doubt, the Man of Steel was physically stronger and had more energy reserves than him. With his restricted skill set, however, he had little chance of defeating Naruto. Naruto quickly gained hold of the solar energy, transforming it into darkness before blasting Clark with it. Clark deflected the incoming strike and opted to go physical because energy attacks were ineffective. Clark was once again faster than Naruto, but just without the speed force. Naruto responded with a palm attack after easily avoiding the heavy punch. Rotation with the touch of his palm, it felt as if everything inside the body was attempting to twist in different directions. Clark managed to get away before it could kill him. Resistance is futile, chaos degrade, Naruto mumbled as he focused his time and space powers on Clark. It was a time and space vortex capable of dissolving and disintegrating the enemy's body to nothingness. Clark, dazed by the strike, was about to face another tremendous move head-on. Fortunately, he wasn't alone, and his crew banded together to eliminate the ultimate threat. They weren't the only ones. Everyone capable of defeating Naruto has gathered. While others attacked Naruto, Zatanna, Merlin, and Raven managed to stop the attack. Since Naruto had demonstrated his great abilities, the three Green Lanterns attacked as one by uniting their energies. They couldn't handle him on their own. Ultrawoman and Firestorm launched a joint strike with a super-powered heat beam. Naomi and Shazam joined forces to depower Naruto and suppress his powers. Wonder Woman has awoken to her immortal side and surpassed Hercules in power. Borrowing Hawkgirl's mace, which was constructed of a stronger material than her blade, she unleashed a devastating blow with Captain Atom to scramble her enemy's atomic stricter. Swamp Thing, on the other hand, concentrated on limiting Naruto's movement by constructing a dome around the planet. Using the force of the green, the dome was extremely powerful and even disrupted the enemy's energy while assisting his teammates. Emperor's Fury giving powers names made it easier to remember different techniques and update them, which was why he had given his skills diverse names. Emperor's Wrath was the culmination of his destructive, death, time, and space powers, illusions, molecular manipulation, empathy, light, and darkness. It spread from Naruto like a golden wave, destroying everything in its path. The heroes are forced to retreat and block his attack. To stop it, all of the heroes had to concentrate, or the planet would vanish. Other heroes who had been watching began to intervene as well. Nuwa, Pangu, and Sun Wukong from China had immortal-related powers, but they did not represent the immortals. Orunmila, Osanyan, Olorun, Oya, and Zora were African heroes who came from various places but represented the continent. In India, there were Shiva, Ganesha, Ganga, Hanuman, Shaktaman, Kali, Arjuna, and Karna, who were not true immortals but heroes with similar abilities. There was Izanagi from the Persona team's captain, Atem, Ashia Duman, and Godzilla from Japan. Finally, Lady Flash, Red Star, Negative Woman, Anastasia, and Ivan from Russia appeared. The united effort stopped Naruto's move, and the magicians combined their abilities to stop him. Merlin, Raven, Zatanna, Shazam, Naomi, Nuwa, Zora, Duman, and Atem all contributed. The squad used power chains to restrict space, time, and energy around Naruto. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the other heroes attacked him. So you even dared to clone me? What a pitiful attempt. None of them can stop me. Everyone against me has no right to exist, Naruto thought as he locked on to Alaya and felt the blood link. Naruto summoned his team and attacked the heroes from behind, disrupting their attempt. Naruto began murdering them after allowing him to weaken the resistance. Naruto assaulted the wizards first, starting with the difficult elements. Naruto used his maximum speed to phase through Zatanna and Zora. The two women ceased to exist as the force of his speed collided with the power of death that he had obtained from death. Lady Flash, Flash, Silver Flash, Impulse, and Zoom used the Speed Force to assault Naruto in response to his offense. They attempted to slow him down so that others could interfere, and even stole his speed, slowing him down enough for Merlin's evil father Belial and brother Etrigan to collide with him. Lucifer bestowed these two devils on Merlin, and they served as his loyal followers. They came at a cost, of course, for Merlin couldn't intervene in Lucifer's corrupting of the mortal realm. Finally, Anastasia and Ivan attacked, making Naruto realize his error. He had assumed that Anastasia discovered her opponent's weaknesses, but the truth was that she created a vulnerability. It was a mental ability. Naruto was hit by a lariat from Superman and Pengu after creating a weakness that was backed by Ivan's immense magical strength and energy suppression. They were attempting to use their superior physical force to defeat him, and the force of their actions ripped Naruto's body in half and splashed his blood in the air. I said everything was futile, and that will stand no matter how hard you try, Naruto murmured as the blood drops exploded with destructive power and a bright light appeared above them. None of them had seen Naruto's normal moves before, so they were taken aback. In the light of judgment, unlike earlier, it possessed the abilities of numerous stars, and its light beams were exceedingly powerful and dense. Furthermore, they were all endowed with the ability to destroy existence. The heroes attempted to stop it, but the planet and most of their comrades vanished. Only Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Raven, Merlin, Artoria, Belial, Pengu, Olorun, Shiva, and the Green Lanterns remained on the battlefield. The massive squad had been reduced to a few guys by a single powerful move, yet Naruto was still full of vigor and had others on his side. When things seemed hopeless for the heroes, others began to join the fight. There was the Suicide Squad's Enchantress and the Shadow Group's ultimate weapon, Ultima. The red armored figure was the bane of all super beings, with the ability to nullify all powers and unstoppable physical strength. Aside from them, there was Lex Luthor in his super armor, Parasite, and Amazo, the ultimate weapon of the light. Using conceptual powers, the living liquid metal life form was capable of adapting to everything. Finally, there stood Batman and Martian Manhunter, who had been frantically preparing for the showdown. With the help of Superman, Batman built armor that may enable him battle on a higher level and even suppress Naruto's talents. On the other hand, Martian Manhunter had evolved into one of the universe's most powerful entities. He had returned to his origins by absorbing Miss Martian's white Martian blood and uniting it with his essence. With the genetic mutation, he was able to revert to his original appearance. He was transformed into a burning Martian. Given Naruto's abilities, there was a good likelihood that all of them would perish in the end. With that in mind, they decided to take a chance and sent Superman to absorb additional power. Raven, on the other hand, became unstable after the deaths of many companions and the devastation of the planet, and Trigon took over as a result of her fury and sadness. It had already been happening since Naruto's gift was reversed, and the conflict hastened the demise. Wonder Woman had been losing the struggle against her sister, and Naruto's attack, which should have killed her, unleashed greater power within her. As magical energy began to flood forth without ceasing, a mark emerged on her forehead and her hair turned silver. With Raven and Wonder Woman's help, they were given a second opportunity to win. None of them still cared about Naruto. He'd slaughtered everyone and annihilated the planet. Regardless, Naruto, like the heroes, was under a lot of pressure. Even though he had prepared several avenues to win, it was a gamble for him. Naruto might compel Vyn to bring them back by killing everyone who could fight him without leaving a trace, and if he did it several times, Vyn might change the rules of reality to reverse death on the battlefield save for Naruto's death. That would cause death to intervene and care for Vyn, allowing Naruto to undo everything. If that wasn't enough, Naruto had dispatched Queen Bee, Clarion, and Hercules beyond their solar system. He had assigned them the task of annihilating any life they came across in order to force Spectre and Balance to intervene. If that wasn't enough, he'd trapped the whole human race in a pocket universe with his servants. While Vyn was distracted by Naruto, Moon Maiden and the others could lead humanity to perfection without him or discover a solution. Maybe someone else, like MXY, will interfere and use the people Naruto sent to the pocket universe. It was the reason Naruto didn't approach him. Naruto desired that Clark suffer and die under his control so that MXY might come and save his favorite hero. Naruto left nothing to chance and was confident that he could win using these strategies. However, depending on what transpired, Naruto would perish. Naruto's life was largely in risk since his deadly plans would attract the wrong notice from higher entities, and there was no turning back. The one flaw in his scheme was Dial H, who might call the perfect hero to destroy him, so Naruto killed him before the combat began, along with the rest of Young Justice. Killing so many innocent people had a negative impact on his thoughts. It went directly against his beliefs and principles. It hurt him a lot and made him doubt his own worth. But he realized he had to make sacrifices for the greater good. The Emperor would constantly be compelled to make terrible decisions, even if it meant sacrificing his children. It was Naruto's first time. He'd sent people on missions knowing the dangers, but this was the first time he'd killed innocent people. Trigon took hold of that darkness within to corrupt him. "Thank you for the gift," Naruto said as he clasped Raven's hand in his. Tenbu Horin, Heaven's Treasures. It was the ultimate light and anti-demon blow against an adversary. It ensnared the opponent in an illusion matrix and destroyed them in 6 stages. Each stage cumulatively annihilated one of the opponent's 5 human senses before destroying their powers. Naruto used all of his power to eliminate one of the battlefield's most dangerous enemies. Now, let us put an end to this farce. Naruto gathered massive amounts of energy from several dimensions to conclude the combat and eliminate the possibility of defeat. Naruto dispatched Supergirl and Power Girl to battle Superman, Witchblade and Donna to battle Diana, Silver Banshee to battle Enchantress, Livewire, Killer Frost, and Pamela to battle the Green Lanterns, Aquaman to battle Batman, and King Croc and Earth King to battle Lex Luthor. All of his minions had been upgraded to at least star level, allowing Naruto to focus on the most hazardous enemies. The Emperor's aura spread once more, with Naruto adding new settings to it, the power of coercion. Naruto's eyes shined over them, forcing them to block and stealing their speed. With the opponents halted, Naruto surged forward, clutching his gigantic battle axe, which had been fused to his powers. Naruto's Rinnegan awakening had been the final stage in assisting Kurama in becoming the true 10-tailed beast, implying that he had become a Jubi Jinchuriki and earned the core powers. Naruto's main weapon, like the sword of Nunoboku possessed by the Sage of 6 Paths, became a part of him. It was his sole weapon and a component of his sage abilities. Naruto's powers were further enhanced by the axe in his hand, and he was finally able to put on his armor again. He couldn't risk any damage or energy loss as the fight of attrition was about to begin. Naruto's abilities were enhanced by the armor and axe, and with a single slash, he destroyed reality itself. Everything stopped existing inside his range. Flash, Parasite, Merlin, Ulorun, Shiva, and Pengu were obliterated before they could even react, although Ultima, Amazo, Belial, and Artoria survived with difficulty. Ultima used all of his might to stop Naruto's attack, and he barely made it with half his body. Amazo was only able to survive as a finger and in a brief shape because he couldn't rebuild what he had lost. Artoria successfully blocked the attack with her Holy Lance, halting the devastating move. However, the attack's pressure led her body to suffer harm. Belial survived because to his superior strength level against Naruto. He was Trigon's son and one of the underworld's rulers, hence his power was greater than that of the solar system. Belial was powerful enough to destroy a galaxy, making him the most formidable combatant on the battlefield. Belial, on the other hand, was bound in the mortal world and couldn't battle at full strength without permission. With Merlin's death, he was set free, and he left the battlefield because he didn't want to risk getting wounded while his powers were sealed. "Let's go out with a bang, partner," Naruto said, and the darkness gave way to the golden fox opening its mouth from above. The enemies attempted to flee the range, but Naruto's golden chains trapped them and limited their abilities. Kurama continued to unleash the most powerful Biju beam ever produced. It was immensely powerful and possessed the ability to destroy and kill. The beam didn't travel far because it emerged in front of the targets instantaneously and continued for a few seconds. The beam proceeded beyond the solar system, wiping everything in its path, causing stars to burst and planets to vanish. Everyone was killed in that incident. Naruto and his team were left alone. "Whoever you are, I will find you one day and show you pain beyond reason," I will not kill you. I will imprison you for eternity and experiment on you. You will regret the day you crossed this emperor. Naruto said to the empty space in a fierce and icy tone that was filled with bloodlust. With those words, Naruto snapped his finger, causing the solar system to be destroyed by releasing the power of destruction. The truth-seeking ball's strength was easier for Naruto to use, and he could release it as energy rather than the typical ball form. Furthermore, he was not constrained by balls and could utilize it indefinitely. After completing his destruction, Naruto took to the skies, intending to continue his destruction and to torture his adversary. All of his desires were fulfilled. He would not stop killing until his plan came to fruition. He'd traveled too far to turn back now. He was still unable to turn back time and resurrect others. He couldn't utilize any of his abilities to do it. It suggested that the enemy was still trying to keep him down. It was also the reason why his compulsion power didn't dominate the targets. I will never let you win. You will not survive this battle. Vyn was enraged beyond reason at being challenged by a lower species and even terrified by Naruto's disgustingly wicked ideas. He'd never seen such heinous sights before. People in his society, who were largely children, never had such notions. He had chosen Naruto as the other participant, and his survival meant a loss, therefore it couldn't end. Without hesitation, Vyn summoned all of the planet's powerful beings and restarted the battle. When the opponents appeared, Naruto smirked and attacked. His strategy was working, and all he needed to do was survive at least 100 battles before the adversary gave up. Unlike in the past, Naruto did not hold back and killed everyone in record speed. He undid the death and killed them again. Something was happening in Naruto's sanctuary while he was fighting, a gift from the unknown. Naruto's pocket realm was nearly tough to discover because he had utilized all of his talents to create it. It possessed the strength of several stars and was difficult to pin down. It was called as the Infinite Maze, yet it contained millions of layers of traps and false worlds that only the most daring beings could find. These levels, however, appeared to have been circumvented by an unknown creature, and some humans appeared right on his home base. These individuals belonged to the Legion of Superheroes from the future, who had been thrown back in time due to a devastating battle with the Emerald Empress. Cosmic Boy, Leviathan, Brainiac 5, Element Lad, and Kid Quantum were the members' names. They had been the unfortunate ones to be sent back in time, along with their adversary Saria. The 6 beings were dazed as a result of the explosion that threw them back, but Saria regained control faster than them. She was ready to finish off her opponents with the Emerald Eye of Ekron when the defenses triggered. Just because someone managed to go around the Infinite Maze didn't mean the home base was spared. The planet itself was enormous in size and had formidable defenses. Naruto implemented his laws into the planet's defensive system to ensure that no one forgot to live a moral and active life. He didn't want the people to stagnate in his absence. It was his ideal system, which he had planned to implement once the globe had been conquered. Therefore it was still a work in progress because it lacked finer details to completely encourage people, and the prize list for high-level achievements was missing. With the system in place, no weaker person could possibly wreak havoc in the territory. Therefore Saria was easily immobilized for her effort to kill without a license, and especially for targeting innocent life. Only those with permission were permitted to kill within the region, and even that was a rare event, as Naruto did not anticipate such occurrences later on. Naruto would handle those issues personally with the system, leaving his people to deal with the outside world. What is going on? Element Lad wondered as he watched the inconceivable foe freeze with ease. There was no opposition, and the Eye of Ekron was also sealed by a black box. To answer his question, the system appeared to them in the guise of its lord. Intruders of the sanctuary, why have you come here? The members immediately recognized him as the Emperor of Mankind when they saw his form. Even though they arrived 100 years in the future, the Emperor was one of the most legendary individuals in universe history. He was one of the ultimate creatures, capable of progressing beyond the mortal realm. He had, however, died in combat and vanished along with the rest of humanity. His final struggle against the creature from above had resulted in his premature death, but even so, his position in history had been established. Most people knew him and admired him for his deeds, powers, and final stand. Looking at the armored person, the Legion heroes assumed it was another imposter. Many people admired the Emperor or aspired to follow in his footsteps, so they tried to act and look like him. We don't know where we are, and we didn't come here on purpose. There was an explosion, and space fractured, and we were sucked into it, said Cosmic Boy, standing in front of the Emperor fanboy. They could tell the mysterious thing wasn't an adversary and wasn't out to murder them. I see. I see that you are good-natured, so you can live in this sanctuary until my lord returns, or you can pass through the wall of infinity. Please refrain from acts of violence and become productive members of the Empire, and I apologize for my inability to help you. Saria was tortured and rehabilitated because she was an outsider and not a part of the Empire. Anyone who ventured to kill someone in the sanctuary would perish instantaneously. What did he just say? Leviathan was perplexed. He was the team's colossus with typical intelligence, therefore he relied on the other members to think out the difficult issues. Wall of Infinity. Brainiac 5, like his predecessor, Brainiac, was one of the most intelligent beings in existence. However, he was unfamiliar with the term. He was aware of a book of infinity and other such items, but not of a wall. Let me put it to the test, Element Lad stated as he took flight and sailed towards the atmosphere before releasing a fireball. It should normally stretch into space, but it came to a halt before crossing the barrier. When Element Lad realized there was something blocking them, he transmuted his body to the strongest element and delivered a devastating punch. Element Lad's power allowed him to transform the elements in his body, allowing him to take on various attributes. It meant that if he kept experimenting as usual or came across powerful ingredients that could hasten his ascension, he had the potential to become one of the strongest beings in existence. Even with all of his strength, there was no reaction from the barrier. It was like trying to hit a steel wall with your hands. Let us explore this new world before we begin dismantling the unknown barrier. Hasty decisions may lead to our death, as that being is extremely powerful. Brainiac 5 believed he could examine the barrier and identify its flaws. It would be preferable if we could persuade the owner to let us go. Breaking it would be extremely risky. Cosmic Boy didn't want his crew to perish, so he sought a less dangerous way. He seemed nice. Maybe the master wouldn't be so bad, Leviathan said, and the others couldn't agree with him. Let's move or we'll be standing here all day. We're all too tired, so it's better to find a city first, Kid Quantum said, catching her breath. With that decision made, the team took off without a plan and eventually landed in a city. Naruto had not yet added the high-tech features to the city, so it looked like any other human metropolis. It was a backward place to the crew because it lacked the sci-fi setting. It wasn't out of place, though, because not all planets in the future had evolved that far. The existence of humans, on the other hand, was absolutely shocking. Brainiac 5 was the one who noticed because he was analyzing everything they encountered. These are human beings. How did they survive? Sanctuary. Is this the place where they have been hidden for all this time? Brainiac pieced together the limited information available and concluded that they had arrived in the hidden region where Emperor had hidden all of humanity. He hadn't killed everyone. Who are you people? Conan interrupted them before they could continue their conversation. She knew they weren't enemies because they were moving around, but they were still an unknown team. It was her responsibility to know who was on the planet and to look after them. Conan was not recognized by the squad because her presence was not recorded. Her conflicts had been kept private, and she had not appeared publicly like Naruto. Regardless, the team agreed to speak with her. Please excuse our intrusion, miss. We are from the Legion of Superheroes, and my name is Cosmic Boy. I am the leader of this team, and we have arrived in this sanctuary by accident. If you don't mind, could you tell us about this place? Is this sanctuary built by the Emperor of Mankind? Legion of Superheroes? Are you people aliens? We are not human, and we do not come from Earth. Then how did you know about the Emperor? We haven't left Earth's territory for that to happen. Conan was perplexed by their presence and was attempting to piece together a complete picture through these queries. Are you one of the Emperor's companions? Yes. How long have you been coming here? This is the very first day. They were, as Cosmic Boy suspected, in the past. Conan would have known that their information would spread over time, therefore she would have said something about them staying in the Earth's region. The Emperor's battle covered multiple solar systems and scattered the galaxy by the end. It was impossible to ignore such a destructive battle. Do you mean to tell me you're from the future? I believe we are, based on what you say, since it has been 100 years since the battle ended. Conan summoned the system with her authority and even contacted her team, saying, "Savior system, verify their answer. They are telling you the truth. Who is the adversary, and what is the outcome of the battle? We can't say the enemy's name. An emperor wins the battle in the end, but it's a terrible end. Emperor dies at the end of the long battle, but the destruction he causes summons the specter and the balance, which leads to the enemy being defeated." Cosmic Boy spoke proudly of the battle but stopped when he saw the woman's expression. He could see she was close to the emperor, and his death was a thorn in her side. "Your presence here means that the higher powers have intervened and decided that the emperor shall live. Do you know how to defeat this enemy?" Dr. Mist emerged as he received the signal and realized that the emperor had been chosen. His destiny was to lead, and the future without him had demonstrated his worth. "We know who the enemy is and how to defeat him. However, we must send our voices to the area where they are fighting. That shouldn't be too difficult. We'll make the arrangements and put our trust in you." Dr. Mist decided to trust them because the team had been approved by the system and his own personal judgment. He had already deduced from his last interaction that the Emperor was preparing for a last stand. Finally, he had encountered Xanadu, who had already assured him that the route to victory will be revealed. The enemy was evident from their response. It was a fifth-dimension imp, as the Emperor had predicted. The only reason they hadn't won was because they didn't know what the abomination's name was. With victory in hand, Dr. Mist requested Alessa because she had the key to the maze. Nobody anticipated the youngster to hold the key, and she was the most powerful being in the sanctuary aside from the system due to her frightening power. Returning to the Naruto squad in the sanctuary, most of the members were dissatisfied with their exclusion. Because they were all heroes, selflessness and sacrifice were ingrained in their personalities. They didn't fear death, or they wouldn't be in the hero business. Nonetheless, they knew why Naruto had abandoned them. He trusted them with Earth because his prospects of survival were so slim. Without his presence, it was their responsibility to lead and evolve to meet his expectations. Conan, Dr. Mist, Mood Maiden, Red Hood, and Professor Utonium were picked to lead them all. They had no single leader without the Emperor, and only the Council existed to manage the globe with the support of the incomplete system. However, not everyone was mature enough to grasp this concept, and their emotions had a strong influence. Bubbles had been holed up in her room, reminiscing about her time with Naruto. Those recollections were recent, and his gifts were scattered across the room. Naruto was the type of person who always brought a present. She had witnessed the atmosphere during and after the previous meeting. Bubbles, who was normally slow to noticed the sadness. Her intuition warned her Naruto would perish in this conflict. It was the first time she had been put in a situation in which her buddy was in danger of dying. It was also the first time she had fallen in love. Her childlike attitude caused her to regard everyone as a friend, and most people were not open to it, simply treating her as a child. Naruto had been different, and she could know it was true because of her sensitivity. It had been a lot of joy connecting with him on a spiritual and emotional level. She had discovered someone who enjoyed living freely, however this was only one facet of his nature. Bubbles realized he couldn't live freely due to his responsibilities. She had met him once after the reveal, and he had made one last connection with her. It was the complete revelation, and she had seen everything within. Naruto's entire reason for being was to save the world. He had no purpose without the world. His entire existence focused on becoming the leader, and it was all he desired. He aspired to bring the world to a flawless end and was unconcerned about his own life in the process. It was the reason he could devise strategies that could result in his death or eternal damnation. He was unafraid of pain and sorrow. His devotion was all-consuming, and he despised doing nothing and watching people suffer. Under his dominion, not even a single animal was allowed to suffer. He was a perfectionist who was hard on himself and others. He expected greatness from others in order for them to succeed even after he was gone. All of his plans accounted for the reality that he was only here for a short time. Seeing everything reduced her to tears, and she wanted to tell him to think about it more. Why did he have to take on the duty of the entire universe? Why couldn't he be content with Earth? Why did he have to set himself on such a painful path? Bubbles had seen what Naruto expected from his path, and that path was riddled with heart and soul damage. She would never be able to walk it and live through it. The darkness would engulf her soul, forcing her to commit herself. But she was well aware that he would never listen. Everything was secondary to his ultimate purpose. She remained mute, and Naruto left her alone. She had been lost in thought since then, and she was now full of regrets. There was no way she could help Naruto if he couldn't handle it. Bubbles was fully convinced. Does it matter if my actions are pointless? Doesn't it matter if I believe that my actions were worth it? Bubbles threw away her blanket and favorite toy before catching them and gently putting them down. Sorry. After apologizing to her beloved blanket and toy, Bubbles decided to seek assistance from Dexter. Bubbles discovered her sisters inside the lab led by Veritas, Dexter, and Utonium. They appear to have reached a similar conclusion in their own way, and they were quicker in reaching their decisions. Buttercup's decision was expected given her fiery personality, but Blossom made her own. Buttercup mocked, "I thought you were too scared to come. I was afraid of the pain of seeing it with my own eyes, but now I am willing to face it." "Are you willing to die with him?" Blossom asked. "Bubbles, you have the potential to be the strongest among us. It would be better if you stayed behind." She'd tried with Buttercup before, and now she'd tried with Bubbles. However, the outcome was the same. They were ready to walk out of their older sister's shadow and take a chance. "Girls, I can give you the new armaments, but I don't have the authority to let you leave. You'll have to persuade Alessa or the council." Dexter agreed to provide them the new equipment that had been created for the girls. They had managed to strengthen the girls to a greater level and even developed better equipment for them with Naruto's assistance and the addition of Veritas. The females were now star level, and with the armaments, they would have new skills to help them in battle. "Thank you, Dexter. We owe you one," Blossom and the other girls said as they rushed away. "You did the right thing, brother. Sometimes it's better to let them go than to let them suffer. The girls are too emotional, and since they've chosen this path, it's best for them." Dee hugged Dexter, who was worried about the girls. They were his buddies, and he was terrified of being responsible for their deaths. He was aware that they might perish. But if he refused them, they would gradually suffer and perish. It was their very nature, and no one could ever take it away from them. It would have been preferable if Naruto had taken them with him, but the man saw them as children who needed to be protected. He hadn't realized how much they adored him. The females flew towards Alessa, pleading with her to allow them to support Naruto. However, the ghost girl refused to listen because she had been told not to allow anyone leave the sanctuary. It was the reason the females developed sadness and gradually lost their energy in the future. Their entire lives revolved around feeling. They were not intended to be confronted with such criticism from within. Naruto adored them because of their positivism and fundamental values. They were the ideal children he dreamed for in the future. Bubbles was well aware that Naruto saw them through the eyes of a parent, but she worked hard to change that. Fortunately for them, the appearance of the Legion altered their fate. Dr. Mist came and instructed Alessa to let them go. He also summoned Spirit King, Hercules, Queen Bee, and Clarion to the fight. It was tense because their lord was in jeopardy. The females flew into the gap that had opened up without hesitation. Returning to the combat, Naruto had battled 59 rounds with the opponents before expiring. After the 20th round, his crew died, and the battle became more difficult, and he was unable to bring them back as predicted. To make matters worse, his adversaries continued to adapt to his combat style and increased in power as a result of the repeated fatalities and pressure. Merlin, Artoria, Superman, Ultrawoman, Wonder Woman, Raven, Ultima, and Amazo were particularly affected. With their increasing power and Naruto's stamina dwindling, defeat was looming. Even in the face of certain death, he did not falter and smiled confidently. He was certain that triumph would come his way. The only sorrow was that success will come at the expense of innocent people. He was unconcerned about the specters and other higher creatures' punishment. "One more battle, my partner. Then let's go out with a bang," Kurama said, his face animated. He wasn't depressed about dying. Finally, he was feeling content. He was battling beside his perfect partner and greatest friend. That was all he could hope for. It was an honor for him to die in war beside his brother. "What exactly do you have in mind?" "We let the body act like stars, and let our light shine once more on this cursed world." "I see. I hadn't considered such a sacrificial move, so I'll let you take the lead." Naruto saw what Kurama was intending and comprehended it, but it was his partner who considered it. As a result, he let him do it. It was a move that would deplete his energy in a matter of minutes, but the power boost would be legendary. Naruto was still functioning on the atomic level and had yet to progress to the subatomic realm due to how unmanageable the power would become. Now that there was no reason to hold back, Kurama assisted Naruto in progressing beyond the subatomic world of augmentation. Kurama used his skills to create the ultimate form by applying nuclear fusion concepts. Kurama united both on the subatomic level by focusing on the sage energy on the quark level and the chakra within their body on the same level. Typically, the sage energy was fused only on the surface, never at the atomic level. Kurama's method elicited a strong reaction, as Naruto's body erupted with bright light. He was like the sun, gleaming with golden brilliance that burned everything away. The power was incredible. Naruto had expected it to take him years, but with this new mode, he had reached the galaxy level. The Barian mode Naruto was surrounded by black and gold energy that manifested as his sole weapon and armor. He couldn't keep it hidden or prevent it from spilling. His presence meant the end of everything, and reality was being wiped. I like it. Let us erase this reality that doesn't care about our existence, and let those fools above feel the wrath of humanity, Naruto stated, thinking he had taken care of the foes, but Wonder Woman and Superman remained. Wonder Woman had fully awoken to the witch mark and attained a similar level of strength, while Superman's physical prowess had reached the point of collapsing space with his presence. Ha 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 ha, Naruto exclaimed as he moved, and everything was wiped once more as life was drained, reality was erased, and death energy was disseminated. No matter how formidable the duo was, they were no match for him because they lacked the abilities to match their level of power. Pure power beings could never defeat him. He was their worst foe. But, just like before, they were only there to sap his strength. My lord, please hold on. We have arrived to assist. The Spirit King bonded with him, preventing Naruto from annihilating the galaxy further. Victory has blessed you, friend, Hercules declared immediately, feeling the strength of many solar systems. It prevented them from getting any closer since even one step would erase them. Everything within the range had vanished, leaving a void in reality. Naruto tried to locate his foe with his increased level of power, commanding them to stand their ground. Cowardly shadow, show yourself now. There is nothing that can defeat me now. I am the ultimate being and my mere presence is enough to defeat this maggots. Aren't you ashamed or tired of hiding? What would the people around you say? Such a powerful being scared of a being from the mortal realm, what a hilarious tale. Naruto joked and made fun of the foe while focusing his attack on the realms above. He discovered the path to the realm above while holding the holy lance. However, it was not the sight of his adversary. His adversary was in the mortal realm and came from above. Only the fourth dimension was accessible to the lance. He didn't give up, though, and utilized it to track him down. Naruto searched for the mole by shining the lance across the mortal realm. While he was doing so, the heroes continued to be revived, and Naruto's strength began to draw notice. Clarion, Bubbles, Blossom, Buttercup, Spirit King, Queen Bee, and Hercules stood up and prevented foreigners from being slain. Every kill brought Naruto closer to eternal damnation. They needed to prevent this from happening. There were now directives to incapacitate any being drawn to his talents. Vyn was beyond enraged after witnessing his pawns being slaughtered time and again. Even though it was his goal, it was never a good feeling to see your pawns being slaughtered so frequently. In his view, it was a defeat. He despised the heroes for being so frail. He couldn't move beyond the solar system or his defeat would be made easier. Because his presence was not typically permitted, he would have to supply clues to his adversaries. Coming down to the lower realm meant either obeying specific conditions or limiting one's ability. No imp would limit their power since they were too accustomed to it, but they abided by the laws. Increasing his range would require him to put himself in even more danger. It was also the reason he didn't simply boost the hero's abilities to absurd levels, because doing so would necessitate him providing a clue, and he didn't think Naruto would pass up that opportunity. The mere thought of some lower being able to vanquish him sent him on a violent rage. It was beyond repugnant, and it indicated he was worse than MXY. MXY never truly lost to his targets. He was casual and playful in their presence, so it was just a good-natured loss. Vyn, on the other hand, was in full serious gear. Should I descend and defeat him with my powers? Vyn shook his head, his body shivering. He was terrified of Naruto. How is this possible? How can I be scared of a filthy bug? Vyn couldn't believe it, but his soul and body had recognized Naruto as a greater being if they ever had comparable power levels. Such terrible defeat drove him wild as he yanked on his hairs. Vyn stepped back and watched the display, his dread sparing him. He was no longer enjoying himself. He was yanked from his throne and hurled into the dark pits of negativity. Vyn clenched his teeth and stared at the television, contemplating how he might make Naruto suffer. He felt his body and soul quake, his inner dimension was destroyed, and he plainly heard it. He heard trillions of beings yelling his name backwards. Vynaktvx, x Vtiknev, no. Vyn yelled in agony as he fought back against the pull from above. His body was being pushed back into the fifth dimension. Just then, he noticed his despised competitor smirking at him. Mixa. Don't scream my name, Vyn. You're making me blush, MXY chided, amusingly watching him. How are you? Are you still alive? You should always double-check your kills, Vyn. That's the basic rule. Regardless, we don't have much time. You are being summoned by the Kingmaker Council, and they have decided on your punishment. It's a fun little game. Vyn trembled in horror as he heard the name of the council. The council, composed of the strongest members of their race, determined who would be king. He'd be powerless to refuse. What irritated him was MX's delighted smirk. It felt like he had been duped. You made me do it. This is your fault. You manipulated me into making these decisions, Vyn said in his final moments, blaming everything on MXY. He was beginning to overthink things and began to believe his illogical idea. MXY didn't correct him because it made Vyn feel worse. Maybe I did, or maybe I didn't. Who knows? MXY smirked viciously as he delivered an uppercut that blasted Vyn to the fifth realm. Bon voyage, MXY said as he turned back to face Naruto. He had summoned Naruto for a discussion. MXY was amazed by the young man's determination and mental fortitude. He was the ultimate toy or game opponent. Superman, on the other hand, was more to his liking because the young man was too cold-blooded for him. MXY, unlike Vyn, disliked such rigorous games, and his level of games would not make Naruto sweat. But it would still be fun to play with him now and then because he seemed to tolerate a certain degree of enjoyment. You have suffered because of our people, and for that, we allow you to inflict the punishment on the perpetrator. MXY informed him of the council's decision. They had seen how Naruto frightened Vyn, so being punished by him would be the biggest humiliation of his life. Naruto was at a loss for words when he looked at MXY. He was confused whether their savior truly saved them or was the source of their predicament in the first place. Why did he target us? Naruto was unaware of Vin's presence and missed the dialogue. That would be my fault. He discovered my love for the mortal realm, particularly heroes, and decided to kill my favorite hero in all universes. I see. Thank you for your assistance. I will make sure to repay this debt. I would like to meet the enemy now, Naruto said, his demeanor neutral. He believed MXY was to blame, and he purposely lured Vyn into it. It didn't matter whether he knew what Vyn was going to do because he knew Vyn was going to do something bad. You shouldn't think about it too much. This wasn't on purpose, just like I was in danger of dying and only survived because he was careless. Even my wife was almost killed by him and she only survived by living in the mortal realm. I wouldn't usually explain such things, but you deserved it. I don't want to receive your undeserved hatred. Apologies. I am not thinking straight at the moment. Naruto was dubious, but he knew MXY had saved them, and having that explanation gave him a better view of the man. He would investigate these charges later, but for the time being, he will not think about him with homicidal intent. After that, MXY led Naruto to a stage designed specifically for Vyn and Naruto. Naruto couldn't see anyone else, but the council was keeping an eye on them. Naruto finally saw his foe after a long time. He appeared pitiful. He didn't have high hopes because these creatures appeared ridiculous, but the red man was indeed cowardly. His abilities had been suppressed, and Naruto was free to do whatever he pleased with him. Vyn implored Naruto for forgiveness, knowing Naruto's character. No, it was Mixyespetlik, and no one else saw it. He tricked all of us. The whole thing's a trick where he always wins in the end. Vyn attempted to redirect Naruto's focus in order for him to stop. Naruto, on the other hand, did not pause and continued walking. Vyn couldn't get away from him because of his feeble body, and each stride brought them closer. Because he wasn't used to running, the red man sprained his foot in his fright. Eek! Don't come any closer. Vyn crept backwards, but Naruto caught up and stepped on the thing. Naruto grinned at him, and just those expressions made the beast pee himself. Pathetic. I was playing with your mind, but I didn't expect my words to be true. You were a gutless coward. Look at you crawling because you lost your powers. You aren't even worth my time if it wasn't for your powers. It irritates me that such a pathetic creature was responsible for making me feel these emotions. But now you will remember with your soul why making me feel these emotions was the worst thing you ever did. Shush, don't cry. Don't make those expressions, they won't work, and you should know that I have nothing but loathing for your kind. Now, since we're running out of time, let me make you try the appetizer. Naruto pressed down on him with his foot and peered down on him. Naruto smiled as he sat down, his thoughts clear. Vyn struggled and tried to scream, but he couldn't. Vyn felt the sting of flames for the first time when Naruto's palm caught his. Every part of him was burning, and his pain receptors were working overtime. Naruto's abilities were finally working against him, amplifying the pain, dread, and terror. Vyn felt the torture and couldn't even have the consolation of losing consciousness or feeling nothing for a bit. No, his pain increased infinitely as Naruto's strength took over his thoughts and increased the pain infinitely. Following the burning sensation, Vyn was beaten up while being frozen and burned at the same time. Naruto treated him with contempt, beating him senseless and breaking every bone in his body. As his other senses were turned off, Vyn felt nothing but anguish. Nothing was visible to him. He couldn't see, hear, or taste anything. The sensation of absolute blackness while only feeling agony was driving me nuts. His terror was through the sky, and if he could scream, he would have yelled at the top of his lungs. Vyn felt his bones being broken one by one after the beating. Vyn couldn't think of anything but the anguish as it reached unfathomable levels. He begged for death over and over, but it never came. Naruto was patient and repeated it several times while healing him. Vin's head was shoved into molten liquid as he continued. It burned through him and drowned him. Naruto then penetrated Vin's anus with a spear, causing it to increase in size gradually. Vyn felt the spear grow and stretch inside him, forcing his internal organs before splitting in half. Naruto then undid it and fed Vyn something. Vyn had expended so much energy during the torment that he was content with anything. Is it good? How about now? Naruto questioned, his face menacing, and Vyn noticed him eating his own foot. The cry from his spirit was deafening. Vyn feared he wouldn't be able to yell or feel anything after that. But he was wrong, extremely wrong, since things only got worse. Vyn was stripped naked and then firmly secured between two narrow rowing boats, heads and limbs protruding. He was made to drink milk and honey until he became dizzy, and more honey was applied on his body to attract insects to his exposed appendages, eyes, and genitals. He was then abandoned to float in a stagnant pond in the sun. The feces of the helpless individual gathered within the container, attracting more insects, which ate and multiplied within his exposed flesh, which got increasingly gangrenous. In some cases, the feeding was repeated every day to prolong the agony and prevent him from dying from dehydration or famine. When death did occur, it was most likely due to a combination of dehydration, malnutrition, and septic shock. Death was excruciatingly painful, humiliating, and prolonged. Naruto used his time manipulation ability, which began operating correctly like all of his other skills, to make him experience numerous days in a matter of seconds. Vyn was done after that torment. He was mentally broken. Just because you have gone insane, doesn't mean I will stop. Here is one last gift to remember me, and the next time we meet, it will be eternal torment, unlike this short-term punishment. Pray that it will be a short wait, because I will be thinking about you every day and every moment. I will imagine what I will do to you, and you know how fast my mind works. Think about it and wait for me, because I will never forget this day. Vyn believed he'd lost all feeling, yet just hearing those words made him terrified. Vyn was eaten by darkness without the ability to communicate or beg, and he felt his flesh, mind, and soul melt while being devoured by beings of darkness over and over. After that, Naruto walked away and was sent back home. Vin's punishment, however, did not end there. He was imprisoned inside a dark pit and had to combat a variety of animals, all of which resembled Naruto. Vin's biggest nightmare came true when he couldn't die. When Naruto returned to his world, he discovered that everything had returned to normal. The planet was repaired, and everyone was resurrected. Humanity, however, remained within his shelter. As a result, the heroes were still enraged at him. Fortunately, the crew had told them where the people were. But the crew also discovered what Naruto had done. Bubbles and her sisters rushed into him as they saw him return. They had triumphed, and Naruto had survived. It was a joyful reunion, and hugging them lifted Naruto's spirits. Naruto couldn't help but notice the pure little girls' attraction to him when he saw them. They weren't tiny girls. These girls were madly in love with him and would die for him. It hurt his heart that he had almost brought them such anguish. These girls, however, were not the only ones harmed by his activities. Kara was taken aback by what he had done. He had slaughtered the heroes with them. "I apologize for the pain I caused, but it was necessary. We would never have won or survived without such drastic steps. I am the emperor, so the survival of the empire is the main priority. For the survival of my people, our lives can be put on the line. I had to control you so that you wouldn't experience the pain of killing innocent lives. It is not because I didn't trust you. Please trust me, Kara." He drew Kara into his arms, taking her hand in his. "What are you doing?" Kara was still dissatisfied with his activities. What had happened had left her feeling misled and heartbroken. She couldn't believe her body had been used to perpetrate such heinous crimes. It was difficult not to perceive Naruto in a new light following such revelations. "I think I'm in love with you, so I'm glad we survived," Naruto admitted honestly, and Kara sensed the attraction as well. Being in his grip and hearing his words brought it back to her. She had been undecided about it. "What are you saying, stupid?" Kara felt embarrassed because he was speaking such things in front of so many people. They couldn't believe Naruto was acting out a romantic drama in front of them. "I just wanted you to know, and I hope you will accept my path. This is what it means to be the emperor. People will have to die for the greater good sometimes, even if I don't wish for it. I will have to make sacrifices, even though I despise doing so. It is because we are weak, but we will grow stronger, and we will not let these situations repeat. I want you to think carefully about whether you want to stand with me or against me. Do you really want our people to live such volatile lives where they could vanish in the blink of an eye? Do you want us to live at the whims of other beings? Are you not angry that it was just a game to them?" Naruto let Kara go and explained further to them, appealing to their minds and hearts. Because they were all full with outrage and rage at the time, it was simpler to connect with them. However, most of the heroes were unable to trust Naruto after witnessing his self-sacrifice. They knew why he did it that way, but none of them would have done it that way. It was utterly against to their character. Merlin, Artoria, Atem, Shiva, Olorun, and Pangu, on the other hand, didn't mind him after the explanation and agreed with his ways. "You really don't have a choice but to accept me as your ruler. Everyone on Earth accepts me as such, so it is my victory." Naruto was no longer in the mood to toy with them. He wasn't going to kill them, but he was going to confine them if they kept bothering him. Even that would be tough without assistance due to the power outage. Naruto was now in a weakened position and unable to wield his full force. He was demoted to star level till his energy was restored. "Then, how about you give us an assurance? From the battle, it can be seen that we can't keep you in check or we have a very low chance of doing so successfully." Batman offered an answer to the hero's predicament, knowing that Naruto was forced to make these options. After conversing to and mentally fighting Naruto, he realized that sacrifice was never an easy option for the Emperor. "The baptism of eternal light, it will ensure that you will never have an ounce of evil in your soul," Merlin said before Batman nodded. "Fine, I'll do it once things have calmed down. Now go and rest, it's been a long battle." Naruto agreed since he was also intrigued in participating in this ritual because it would strengthen him and make him immune to corruption. Naruto then sent them away while integrating the refuge with the normal world. It meant that Earth was always safe and that there would be no danger from within. Naruto looked around and discovered Lex, Amazo, and Ultima were missing. The three opponents seemed to have slipped by while he was gone. It was for the best, because he was at his weakest point just now. Regardless, he would murder them since they had denied him a second opportunity. Naruto turned to face the remaining people, his gaze fixated on the small girl who was looking at him with guilt. "I'm sorry for what I did. I mistook you for my enemy," Alaya apologized. However, it didn't matter to Naruto, because her remarks were incorrect. It implied she didn't care about the innocent lives lost as a result of her conduct. Her mentality was similar to that of most shinobi. "I am not the only one to whom you should apologize. There are countless people who suffered as a result of your actions, and they deserve to see you beg forgiveness. Child, your tragedy does not grant you the right to cause others to suffer. You are a criminal, just like the filth who manipulated you. Learn from this chance or I will kill you the next time." Naruto's hand was on her instantly, and Alaya felt the large hand almost crush her skull before darkness devoured her. Naruto was alone with Kara, Raven, Pamela, Killer Frost, Livewire, Phoenix, Power Girl, Bubbles, Buttercup, and Blossom after that. When the romantic scene began, the boys had already vanished. "Master. What do you mean by what you just said? Why is she special?" Pamela's reaction to Naruto's remarks was the most severe. She was fine with sharing Naruto, but the fact that he had chosen Kara irritated her. It made her feel insignificant. It made her question her position. She wanted to kill Kara for gaining a place in his heart. "That's what it means. I like all of you, but I love Kara. But that doesn't mean I'll ignore you. I chose you, and I'll never let you go until death takes you. Do you feel better now?" Naruto embraced her and kissed her. Pamela felt her emotions calm down after hearing his words of dominance and affection. Her strong self had been sealed, and she hugged him softly. Bubbles covered her eyes with her hands and peered through them as she observed the sight. The unreserved confessions and kiss made her feel extremely ashamed. Buttercup was shy and nervous as well, as she pictured Naruto doing it to her. Only Blossom witnessed the scene normally and without emotion. She, on the other hand, was not pleased. It was difficult to see the person she liked holding someone else. Blossom asked her sisters, "Does that mean you are willing to accept us?" Naruto felt reluctance when he looked at the smart female. Not because he didn't love them, but because he didn't want to treat them in this way. They were really lovely young ladies. They deserved to be loved by a regular person. He was not the sort to be far from the world's gloom, and such things may corrupt the tiniest things. But wasn't this true for everyone else? He was unrivaled. He was superior to everyone. There was no better companion than him. "If you're willing to accept this arrangement, I'll accept you. Can you handle it?" "We've always shared everything, so it shouldn't be difficult to share you," Buttercup said, making several of the females laugh. She appeared to be challenging him. "Then I will love you forever and make you the happiest girls on the planet." Naruto responded with similar zeal and showed them the love they desired. They hugged him again without any opposition. Kara was watching everything and wasn't sure if she wanted to be a part of it. She thought Naruto was the best, but he already had others. He was not going to let them go, and it felt horrible to beg him to leave them. "I'll be leaving. See you later." Kara excused herself and took off at full throttle. However, Naruto arrived in front of her after she had been separated from the others. "Let go of me." Kara shoved him aside after he unexpectedly hugged her. Kara was physically stronger than Naruto at the moment since she was above star level from all the power she had absorbed. "Why are you denying yourself what you want? Let me hear what you have to say, Kara. I enjoy your company. You are the most significant individual in my life. When we were prepared for the war, all I could think about was you and how I hoped we might continue together. But you have other options. Are you willing to let them go? Can you make your one and only love your number one?" Kara couldn't keep back her feelings, and Naruto's powers were at work. She sobbed and clutched his shirt, staring him down. Looking for the solution she desired, despite the fact that it appeared to be unattainable. Naruto hugged her tightly when he saw her like way. It irritated him. He didn't want to see her in such a state. Naruto's mind began to work, but there was no correct response. His heart was resisting him. It went against his ideas and aims. The heart, however, did not control the body and could never command his thinking. "I apologize, Kara. I could never take such a road," For various reasons, I will always have to add someone. Why? Why do you have to? Because I am the last of my kind. I want to have powerful children with different abilities. For diplomatic purposes, as well as to reduce fear and suspicion of alien species. It is also easy to control and trust someone who unconditionally loves me. I cannot accept your response. They all appear to be excuses, and you appear to be the worst. How far have you descended into insanity? How would you make use of people's emotions? They were criminals in the first place, Kara. I didn't even try to seduce someone excellent. Do you believe it is difficult? If I tried hard enough, I could probably have most of these women in my hands by next week. Because life is difficult, most people would prefer my company. Regardless, I warned you for a purpose. I wasn't required to. I want you to understand how I think. Those girls are aware of my feelings. My agenda has never been hidden from me. They are aware that I am utilizing them and wish to be of assistance. Do you really want to turn me down? Is there a better alternative? I guarantee you'll be pleased with me, and you already know that. Did you feel excluded or dissatisfied before today? Wasn't I with others? I don't mind. I had no idea at the time. I was unaware of these emotions. Please allow me to leave. I don't want to despise you. Naruto was experiencing agony in a new way. He'd never been denied before. He had never expected to fall in love and then be rejected. It was made worse by the fact that he could take her if he merely broke one of his rules. However, he was unable to accomplish so. He knew he would have to take other girls, and if he pledged not to, he would be cheating and lying. I don't want to hurt you, Kara. I only want you to be happy, so don't damage yourself. I will let you go and will not push you. But I'll be there waiting for you. Naruto approached her and hugged her before fleeing, leaving a necklace on her neck. Kara cried as she heard his response and considered throwing the jewelry, but instead kept it and fled to her sanctuary. She didn't want to see anyone right now. Naruto, on the other hand, would never let her wallow in self-pity, so he dispatched Silver Banshee to assist her best buddy. Naruto returned his attention to the other girls, turning to Raven. She regarded the situation with a chilly gaze, attempting to keep her powers in check. The conflict had loosened her grip, allowing Trigon more power over her body. Raven, you will remain by my side until I solve your problem. For the time being, I'll use some interim measures. Naruto glanced at her, and his powers enveloped her, taking out Trigon's evil influence while infusing her with his positive energy. Raven's empathy worked in tandem with his to improve it. Raven was jealous of the other female's ability to experience more emotions and care. She wasn't sure if it was safe to try something so delicate. She was terrified of allowing such emotions to exist. In addition, Naruto was surrounded by other girls. If she really wanted him, she'd shove them all away. That, however, did not appear to be an option. I appreciate your help and am grateful. Raven consented to his request because Naruto was the only one who could control her. She was the most dangerous threat on the earth right now. Even during the combat, Naruto had to kill her fast in order to prevent Trigon's strength from leaking out. Vyn was also concerned about Trigon meddling with him because the creature could fight the imps and had already climbed to the 5th realm. Regardless, Vyn might have dispatched him with the king's weapons. Naruto resolved to solve Elia's situation after finishing with the harem, Raven, and Kara. Power Girl's problem was postponed, and she didn't mind sharing, unlike her counterpart, thus there was no problem with their relationship. Though his affections for Supergirl did not overpower his feelings for Power Girl, they shared the same body but had quite distinct personalities. They weren't the same people, therefore their appearance wouldn't change how he treated them. It irritated Power Girl, so she took it as a challenge. Leaving aside the love triangle, Naruto traveled to the other dimension with his crew and appeared above Konoha. Because it was intended to be the future, it appeared to be significantly different from his world. With their appearance, Naruto of the world and his crew appeared. If he had arrived in the world, it would have been a one-sided struggle, but now it was one-sided from the opposite side. He couldn't take the opponents seriously since they were too weak. Evil Naruto was about the large planet level, and his team was a mix of moon and planet levels. Naruto defeated them with ease, revealing the reality of the world and learning more about his own. Evil Naruto was the Naruto that Ashiki Otsutsuki had taken over. It was shortly after the 4th Ninja War, and Naruto had become the world's hero, He was the most powerful creature on the planet, and his only opponent was his brother, Sasuke. Ashiki took advantage of this negligence. Kaguya's partner and brother, Ashiki Otsutsuki, had come to Earth to suck its life power with the help of the Shinju tree, which sprang from the Jubi seed. Kaguya was intended to be eaten by Jubi as normal in order for the Shinju tree to develop. It was the standard procedure, and the individual who had been devoured would be revived later. They'd done it countless times and gained in power as a result. Their objective was to become the ultimate being, which was necessary because they couldn't taste anything other than the life force of sentient planets. Planets were food and nutrients for them to grow stronger. They were one of the most powerful species on the planet, and they could increase their power simply by eating. They didn't need to train or learn anything because they could learn everything just by eating. When they ate the planet's life force, they gained the abilities and knowledge of every being who perished on that world. They could shoot for the universe with such a deceitful skill, and their king governed as one of the top beings in existence. Ashiki wished to rise to the level of his king and sit on the throne. That fantasy, however, came to an end when Kaguya fell in love with a human and betrayed him. She caught him off guard with a backstab and nearly killed him with her ash bones. It had the ability to burn anything it pierced to ash. Ashiki was stabbed in the heart and felt his body disintegrate. He could only slow the process by making it small. It had, however, covered half of his body, and he had to cut it off. He lost a lot of authority as a result, and he had to flee for his life. Ashiki was spotted by a monk after barely escaping Kaguya and turned tiny to take over the monk's body. Ashiki lived in the shadows using the body of a monk named Jigen, gazing over the world for an opportunity to make a comeback. Kaguya didn't make things easy, even leaving a piece of her spirit behind to cause difficulties for him. However, she was vanquished once more, and Ashiki discovered the ultimate vessel that was simple to take over. Jigen went to see Naruto in a peaceful spot, and Ashiki flew inside Naruto's brain as a microscopic entity. Ashiki was able to take over Naruto with little resistance. It was especially simple because Naruto was unguarded and in base form, and Kurama was also sleeping. Ashiki could finally employ all of his abilities, and the first thing he did was swallow Kurama completely before devouring the other tailed animals. He did not, however, destroy the planet. He'd learned a lot over the years and had opted to cultivate it. Ashiki decided to help the world grow stronger by feeding them his abilities. He couldn't hide the changes, though, and there were threats all around him. He killed Sasuke and then went for the others one by one. His team consisted of cyborgs and his children. Boruto, Himawari, Kawaki, Delta, Ida, Daimon, and Code are the main characters. A month ago, all of these possessed distinct skills that would have been impossible to counter. This was particularly true for Ida and Daimon. Ida caused anybody who looked at her fall in love, and she even possessed the power to know everything that happened while she was alive. Daimon, on the other hand, made it impossible to attack him because every assault was reflected. It wasn't simply the attack. The mere concept of attacking Daimon would lead the opponent to be injured or dead. Naruto took them all down and distributed them to the Narutos of the world, but not before undoing all the fatalities and restoring normalcy to the earth. When Alaya saw her mother, Kaguya, she was also finally set free from her darkness. Emperor spoke with Naruto alone and addressed the mistakes that had been committed. Everything that happened was Naruto's fault. It was due to his carelessness. It was his method of operation. He learned little to shield his thoughts and relied too heavily on pure power. There were other ways for Emperor to have fled in the same situation, one of which was just roaming around as a soul. He also had mental defenses as well as numerous additional countermeasures to ensure that no one could ever take over his body. It was silly to not take all kinds of precautions in a world full of wonders. Naruto didn't need to hear what Emperor had to say because he had already been regretting everything for the past decade. He had witnessed everything. He had suffered alone, watching everything crumble around him. He was not broken because he refused to let himself fall apart. His family deserved better, and he couldn't relax until he made amends for his misdeeds. He'd already promised to cover every trail. He would never let just anyone approach him. He was always prepared for unexpected attacks. He had written it into his soul that the world was not tranquil. However, it helped that Emperor provided solutions rather than simply making him unhappy. Emperor merely wanted him to understand his faults in greater detail and give him the skills to never let it happen again. Emperor fled the globe with his team after bestowing some powers on Naruto. Naruto was his representative in the new dimension, which was added as his territory. After that, Naruto took a long rest, and the world resumed its march toward the final objective. After realizing what had happened, the world welcomed Naruto as the ruler, and they were fully committed to become stronger in order to avoid similar situations in the future. Most people liked the thought of taking the fight to others rather than waiting for an attack to happen. Nobody wants to die in vain or suffer a loss. They'd been through too much, and Vyn was the breaking point, while Naruto's path was the cure. Some individuals still fought Naruto and refused to accept him. They learned, however, not to put him to the test and did not dare to breach his laws. After the coronation, the world was transformed into a realm where evil was unthinkable. The world evolved into a place where good deeds were encouraged and rewarded, while bad deeds were swiftly punished. The heroes and villains were given the option of becoming legal members of his army. The majority of them agreed to follow his guidelines, while the others retired and opted to observe what was going on in the world. Infrastructure and technology advanced by light years once the secret was revealed and fully integrated into society. Because the entire globe was Naruto's domain, all countries were held to the same standard, and the planet was packed with massive amounts of energy. Everything on the globe was transformed fundamentally as a result of his powers. These were only the preliminary stages, and Naruto was taking his time since he wanted the people to adjust smoothly. Naruto was happy, even if it was sluggish in his eyes. Finally, he had truly become the emperor of mankind, and nothing could force him to abdicate his throne. The end.
That's it for this podcast and for listening to this video. I hope you did enjoy this part of the story, and if you did, like, share, and subscribe for more. And thank you all for helping support, and have a great day.